Coulter Thorne rode out before sunrise the way men did when they carried more responsibility than a single day could hold. The frost still clung to the sagebrush, whitening every blade and briar in a thin glassy shell. The whole valley shimmered like a silver sea, undisturbed and glistening beneath the quiet December dawn. His stallion's breath rose in steady clouds, each exhale blooming into the cold before drifting away like smoke. The air felt sharp enough to carve with a knife, but Coulter paid it no mind. Weather was weather, it didn't change the work that needed doing. He wasn't a man given to wandering thoughts. His mind ran on rails, straight lines, sharp turns only when necessary, nothing frivolous. Ledgers, grazing rotations, water rights, timber yields, supply orders, expected losses and projected gains, that was the rhythm of his days. His life was a long arithmetic, and the Thorne Ranch was its solution. He'd worked the numbers of the land until they sang in order, and because of that, the Thorne Ranch had become the strongest spread in the Northern Territory. Folks in town said he was lucky. Men who rode with him knew luck had nothing to do with it. The land respected discipline, and so did Coulter Thorne. This morning's ride was routine, the sort he did every winter after the first hard freeze. He inspected the far edges of his property each season, checking for washed-out gullies, broken fence rails, signs of trespassers, or animal tracks that didn't belong. A ranch this size didn't run on hope. It ran on vigilance. He guided his horse up the ridge trail, the path narrow but familiar under his boots. From the crest he could see the cottonwood draw below, its trees bare-limbed and trembling in the winter wind. The sky stretched pale blue above him, the color of a cold flame, quiet, piercing, pure. The land rolled out in long, low swells beneath it, empty now, but come spring the grass would rise in thick green patches, perfect for grazing. Today it was barren, silent, settled under the weight of winter. He paused when he reached the old timber cabin. Most folks didn't know it existed. It sat tucked deep in a fold of the land, hidden behind juniper trees twisted by decades of wind, and flanked by stones shaped into curves and edges by time. The cabin had been built generations ago by a trapper no one remembered well. Some said he left for gold, others said he died in a storm. No one had ever bothered to find out. The place had been left to rot, its roof sagging inward, its porch collapsed, its door barely clinging to rusted hinges. Coulter had meant to tear it down for years. It was another task on a list too long to conquer. But today something made him stop. Smoke. A thin, unwavering ribbon rising from the stone chimney, straight, clean, deliberate. Not the drifting kind that came from a cooking fire or a child fooling around. No, this was the work of someone who knew how to bank coals, who knew how to control heat, someone who planned to stay more than a night. Coulter narrowed his eyes. This was Thorne land. No one lived on Thorne land without his permission. He nudged his horse forward, moving slow and quiet, the way a man approached anything unexpected. The closer he drew, the more he noticed. Fresh wood stacked beside the door. New shingle patches hammered over holes in the roof. A window pane repaired with careful hands. A latch carved into the door frame, replacing the one that had rotted away years ago. Someone had been working hard. He dismounted silently, boots crunching over frost. He wasn't angry, not yet. Trespassers usually brought trouble, but this one had done nothing sneaky. The place wasn't hidden or hurriedly patched. The work was good, steady, purposeful. Whoever lived here wasn't desperate, they were capable. Coulter approached the door, raising his hand to knock, but he didn't get the chance. The door opened before he touched it. A woman stood in the doorway. She didn't look startled or frightened or guilty. She held a lantern in one hand and a piece of firewood tucked under her arm, as if she'd simply paused mid-task to answer an unexpected caller. Her eyes met his evenly, no apology, no fear, no challenge. Just readiness. The kind a person developed after years of handling everything themselves. "Morning," she said, her voice calm as cold creek water. "Didn't expect company." Coulter straightened, watching her with the same quiet precision he used when studying boundary papers or new contracts. "I reckon you didn't," he replied. "But this here's Thorn land. And I aim to know who's living on it." She didn't blink. "My name's Lydia Harrowell," she said. "And I'm not here to cause trouble." Something flickered inside him, interest, sharper and more immediate than he expected. He didn't often meet people who spoke truth without softening it or twisting it for advantage. Her posture held a quiet steadiness, not defensive, not timid. Just grounded. The sort of steadiness that isn't taught, it's earned. Life had tested her, but she didn't rattle. She stepped back, gesturing lightly with the lantern. "Since you're here, you may as well come inside out of the cold." Coulter hesitated, not from uncertainty but from recalibration. He had expected excuses, pleading, or lies. Not a straightforward invitation delivered like an offer between neighbors. But the wind was cutting, and curiosity edged out caution. He stepped inside. The cabin surprised him. It was still rough, yes, walls worn gray, gaps stuffed with cloth, floorboards creaking under the slightest weight, but the interior had been transformed into something that breathed. A woven rug lay near the hearth, handmade and worn but clean. A wooden table sat under the patched window, its legs propped on stones to sit level. Herbs hung drying overhead, filling the room with faint scents of pine and chamomile. Everything in the cabin had purpose. Nothing wasted. Nothing neglected. Coulter surveyed the room with the same analytical sweep he used on new land parcels, precise, measured. "You fixed the roof," he said. Lydia nodded. "Best I could. Winter's rough on leaky places." "You hauled the lumber yourself." "I don't see anyone else around to do it." She said it without sarcasm. Just fact. Coulter respected fact. He removed his gloves slowly. "You understand this cabin's on my property?" "I do." She set the lantern on the table. "I wasn't hiding that. Just using what was empty. Most folks ask first. Most folks don't have anywhere else to go." She said it simply. Not like a wound. Like a truth. That caught him off guard. People with nothing usually showed it either with bitterness or desperation. Lydia Harrowell showed neither. She carried her emptiness like a tool, not a burden. Coulter studied her more openly now. Her hair was dark and heavy, catching the firelight in a muted glow. Her sleeves were rolled up, revealing forearms marked with small scratches from woodwork. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't hardened. She was steady. Steadiness was rare. "How long you planning on staying?" he asked. "Long enough to get back on my feet. I don't want charity, Mr. Thorne. Just time. You know my name. Everyone in Ash Hollow knows yours." Fair. His reputation traveled farther than he did. "What brought you here?" he asked. She didn't answer immediately. She crossed to the hearth, poured water into a tin cup, and set it on a stone near the fire to warm. Only when she settled the kettle back onto its hook did she speak. "I needed somewhere no one would look for me," she said. "Not because I'm hiding from the law. I'm hiding from trouble the law doesn't bother with." Coulter raised a brow. That's so. That's all I'll say for now. He respected that. Truth had layers. Forcing the next one only made people lie. He slipped his gloves back on. I'll be plain with you, Miss Harrowell. You living here puts me in a position I have to address. She nodded. Tell me what you want, and I'll abide by it. Most trespassers begged. Some lied. A few ran. Lydia Harrowell simply asked for expectations like she intended to meet them. I'll think on it, Coulter said. Her eyes softened not warmly, but with understanding. That's all anyone can ask. He stepped back outside. The cold bit deeper than before, but something else lingered with him, a sense that Lydia Harrowell wasn't just surviving in that cabin. She was building something. And Coulter Thorne had no intention of ignoring that.